I went to Lisbon for the first time and here's everything I ate during the trip.
Morning, we are in Lisbon and I'm going to find some bread, some bakery now. Let's go.
So we headed downtown to find some good bakery. And I'm overwhelmed by the amount of bakery that specialized in Pastel de Nata. Pastel de Nata is one of the most iconic pastry from Portugal. It's an egg custard tart that's sometimes dusted with cinnamon. The custard is usually baked until it's a little bit charred on the outside. Those caramelized parts are always my favorite part on the tart. Growing up in Hong Kong, I'd always get my Pastel de Nata in KFC. Sounds weird, but they actually got the recipe from a famous bakery in Macau. This one I had is sweeter and more custardy than the ones I'm used to. Overall, not a bad start to our trip. Next up, I went to a place that served something that I'm really eager to try. This place sells something called bifana, which is basically a pork sandwich. The thinly sliced pork are cooked in a white wine and garlic sauce, and they're served in this thin crusted bread roll. They let me choose if I want to add cheese to the sandwich. Well, of course I said yes. On the table there are 2 bottles of condiments. The first one is a bottle of piri piri, which is a hot chili infused oil, and the second bottle is just regular yellow mustard. The flavor of the pork wasn't too strong. There was a hint of garlic in it, and surprisingly the whole sandwich wasn't too dry. The bread was really light, and the pork had the right amount of chewiness. The piri piri oil definitely helps too. Another little thing to mention is you could find fresh orange juice everywhere in the city. Like they're almost in every bar and cafe. And that's why we ordered one here to go with the sandwich. After that we went to another bakery, and the first thing we tried there is this little coconut tart. It was made of mostly shaved coconut, with a candied cherry on top. It was sweet and had a strong butter flavor. The texture was soft and a little bit chewy, kinda like you are eating a candy. We also had something savory too. This is pastel de bacalhau, which means codfish pastry. The inside of this pastry is rehydrated salted cod, potatoes, herbs and spices. They are then shaped and fried into this croquette-like snack. It wasn't too crispy, but the inside was really fluffy and flavorful. It wasn't fishy at all too. We then went to a food market in the city center of Lisbon. The market is curated and operated by the British Time Out magazine. There are a lot of food stalls in the market, selling both local and not very local dishes. I tried one of these croquettes that's made of cuttlefish. They put cuttlefish ink inside to make it black, but other than that I couldn't taste the flavor nor the texture of a cuttlefish. I've had better croquettes somewhere else. We left the market and found this stall selling liqueur off the street, and I ordered a Giginia in a chocolate cup. Giginia is a sour cherry liqueur made in Portugal. They're often sold in street corners and served in a tiny cup. Sometimes, like this one, they will serve it in a baby shot glass made with chocolate. They will serve you the first glass of liqueur, and when you finish it and bring back the chocolate cup, they will pour you another one. And when you finish the drink, you could eat the cup. The liquor was sweet and the chocolate was a little bit bitter, and it was pretty cool to have a drink off the street. After some sightseeing, we found this cool looking wine bar and we went in for lunch. For drink I had a glass of organic local red wine, and they served it in a glass almost larger than my head. We also tried a glass of sweet white port. For food we had a chorizo asado, which is a flame-grilled sausage made with Portuguese black pig. The sausage was flambéed with some kind of alcohol before serving, and it was a really firm and flavorful sausage. The char and spice made it a really good companion with wine and beer. We then had this famous Portuguese white clams. I don't know how to pronounce the name of this dish, but I've heard it's named after a Portuguese poet who really loved this dish. The clams are cooked in a white wine sauce with garlic and cilantro. It's a fairly simple dish, but sadly the clams we had here wasn't too fresh, but I really liked how the sauce tastes. The last dish we had in this wine bar was seared scallop with sweet corn puree, topped with caviar and fried leek string. The scallops were nicely cooked, and fried leek gave it a good contrast in texture. But the corn puree was too sweet and took over the whole dish. We walked around the city a little bit more and found ourselves in Cien Montaditos for a quick break. This place is a bar and restaurant chain from Spain, selling really cheap beer and snacks. I had this popcorn chicken and a pint of black beer. Nothing special really, but the whole thing only costed like 5 euros. Later in the afternoon, we found this restaurant that specialized in ceviche. They are doing this happy hour deal that you could get a drink and 2 ceviche steamed buns for like 10 euros. And you heard me right, this restaurant is serving ceviche, a kind of raw fish dish, inside a steamed bun like a Taiwanese guabao. This ceviche was made with some kind of sea bass, red onion, herbs and a lime and chili sauce. The spice level of this ceviche is set around like a sriracha, so not very spicy. The sauce was very acidic and the fish was fresh too. While wrapping ceviche inside a steamed bun is kinda like soft on soft, and it needed some kind of contrast in texture. But I really liked the flavor of this dish. For dinner, we found a craft beer pub that also serves food. And for drink, I had a house-made Berliner Weisse. This is a Berliner Weisse. It's supposed to be sour. Wow, it's really sour. It's like eating sourdough starter straight up. And for food, we had more croquettes. And this croquette is made with some kind of stewed and spiced pork, made into a paste and wrapped around a boiled quailed egg. The little meatballs are coated in breadcrumbs and deep fried, so you could imagine it's like a mini and delicate version of a Scotch egg. We also had this braised pork with made with Portuguese black pig and smothered in a smoky glaze. And for dessert, we had this cheesecake with a sauce that's made with some kind of berry. The next morning we went to a place called Belém just to try the OG Pastel de Nata. It's sometimes called Pastel de Belém because it's originated from this place. There was a long line outside the bakery, but you actually didn't have to wait if you just ordered a takeaway. The pastry came with a pack of cinnamon and a pack of powdered sugar, and I really liked it with the cinnamon. This Pastel de Nata has a really thin crust and it tasted more on the eggy side than the creamy side. It is more quote unquote burned on the top than the one I had yesterday, and the caramelized bits are my favorite part on this thing. And overall, yeah, I think it's worth it to travel all the way here to try this out. After the Pastel de Belém, I still wanted more for breakfast. I walked away from the historical building and found this super busy bakery. I had this sausage wrapped in pastry. It tasted kinda just like a sausage roll, but with a slightly sweeter and much more buttery pastry wrapped outside. I also had this thing called bola de Belém, which is the Portuguese version of a Berliner. It's a yeasty brioche dough, deep fried just like a donut, and it's coated with a layer of white sugar. The filling inside is a really sweet and thick egg custard. Overall, this thing is a little bit too sweet for me, but still I think it's pretty good with a cup of coffee. One of my favorite things to do when traveling is to check out the supermarket. And in the hot food section of this one, I found this spicy sausage ready to eat. This sausage has a really snappy casing, a little bit sweet, a little bit spicy, and the meat inside is more coarsely cut than, say, a bratwurst. I could still bite into chunks of meat and fat inside, which I really liked. For the last meal of the trip, we went to this restaurant that does Portuguese food with a slight touch of modernity. We started with some croquettes again. These croquettes are made with a kind of Portuguese sausage called aldeira, which is made of meat and bread. And since the sausage is made with bread, the texture of it would be a little bit mushy, but the flavor was pretty good, especially with the mustard sauce that they served it with. I then tried the octopus salad. This is a really common dish you could find almost in any restaurant in Lisbon. The octopus are cooked until tender before diced up and tossed in a vinaigrette kind of sauce with green and red peppers and onions. It's a really refreshing dish that I could just keep on eating and eating. And for the last dish, we had this mushroom and potato dish. The potatoes are cut into strings, deep fried to make it crispy, and then scrambled with eggs and sauteed mushrooms. The dish was finished with truffle oil, I think, so you got the scent of truffle when you're eating. The eggs and mushroom are soft, while the potato still keeps a little bit of crispiness. Overall, a pretty satisfying dish to eat. So yeah, this is everything I ate in Lisbon. If you like this video, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. This is Justin Moomin. See you next time. Bye bye.